Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now October 13th of 2023, and given that Disney is already in preparation of the Marvels on November 10th and how that marketing campaign is going to kickstart by the end of this month, leading into that November 10th release date, and on top of that, they're also dealing with the ongoing issues with Snow White, the live-action remake, everything going on between Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot, and even everything else related to the re-edits that are being passed down by the Disney heads to Marc Webb, all the way down to the editors of this film that are desperately trying to save this movie. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Rachel Zegler is that we know that she was the leading cause to Disney's image, or whatever was left of it months ago, getting completely tarnished and destroyed, based on her comments about Andrew Burnap, based on her comments about Snow White 1937 and the prince being a stalker, which by the way led to a lot of families boycotting Snow White 24. This is a real thing. You know, I know a lot of people out there personally that want nothing to do with Disney anymore, and they are mega Disney fans, and they are through. They actually abandoned their Disney stock, they're not going to the parks anymore, and they're not purchasing any more merchandise. It's pretty bad, and I think this is all leading to why the Disney stock is just continuing to tank. But this is where matters get even more severe related to the whole Rachel Zegler fiasco with Snow White, and a lot of other aspects related to director Marc Webb. Let's discuss. Now, with actress Rachel Zegler dealing with the ongoing drama for Snow White, director Marc Webb has been embracing damage control for this film and went on to confirm multiple things about Rachel Zegler. Now, Webb delivered the following. Working with Rachel Zegler and Gal was a challenge, especially when you are trying to establish a reimagining of these famous characters like the Evil Queen and Snow White. I would be lying if we did not notice some level of backlash against our talents part of this film, especially for Rachel and Disney's direction with the story. It's easy to realize that these individuals are nothing more than a minority, and when I got the chance to speak to Rachel recently, she and I both agreed that these type of fans or viewers just need to shut up and keep their loud opinions to themselves. It was reassuring to know that Rachel did agree with my disgust about this relentless criticism about a film that has not even released in theaters yet. One conversation that I did have with Rachel is that this film is going to attract a lot of hate and criticism, and wrongfully so. It was also reassuring to know and hear from Rachel that she believes these entitled fans just need to keep quiet. I mean, these films are for the creators and the talent. We don't tend to cater to making films for fans, since that's when you lose your own private vision of a piece of art you want to establish. Now, let me just stop here quick, guys, about what Marc Webb is confirming and what he's talking about, and we'll get on to the next big thing that he has to say. Now, this goes to show you how egotistical Marc Webb also is, as much as Greta Gerwig about Snow White. We all heard about what she said about Snow White, about how this movie's going to focus on taking down the patriarchy and how it's going to have a lot of elements of female empowerment, and how this was long overdue for multiple decades by Disney to enhance itself. It's just pure it's ludicrous, it really is. But when you look at Marc Webb, he's literally confirming that he's had these conversations with Rachel Zegler, that they full-on expected a lot of criticism about this movie, a lot of hate about the film, and how they both agreed that these supposed quote-unquote entitled individuals or fans or whatever, viewers, audience members, need to shut up and keep quiet. And it goes to show you how entitled Rachel Zegler actually is. We know that she said some pretty crazy things recently about the whole Taylor Swift situation. I'm sure that you guys saw that. She goes on these endless things, these endless nonsense rants, and we're going to hear a lot more about her and from her directly once the SAG strike ends, I'm sure. We already know that she's preparing a very big statement about the unfairness in Hollywood between herself and her team that's going to become public whenever the SAG strike ends. At this point, who knows? Negotiations fell flat, they all broke, and it could very well now be months until there's a deal that can be made. So here's the problem about Marc Webb again, is that he is just as bad as people out there like Kathleen Kennedy running Lucasfilm. I mean, they're full of themselves. They never take any kind of blame or criticism well, and it just goes to show you that this is exactly what Hollywood consists of for 90% of it, I would say. You know, you got the remaining 10% out there that does things, you know, correctly and right, and that's really saying a lot. It's probably a lot less than that, to be honest, but looking at all of this further, of course, he goes on to elaborate. Sure, Rachel and I have had our creative differences on set many times, both creatively and professionally, and issues with this film. It was a tough production on all of us, and though I don't want to comment on our struggles, I tend to gravitate toward what we both agree on. The story and the fans are actually that we are trying to reach with this film that will support us through and through is our achievement. Rachel is a very outspoken persona, and I found myself agreeing with her more lately than our differences. Greta did a fine job creating a flawless film here, and we are just going to go in and ignore the naysayers of this film. These are nothing more than grown, entitled individuals that I feel they deserve to alter the story. The film industry is a business for the creator's vision, is how I see it, and if the customer enjoys it, then great. If not, then you deal with that moving onwards. Now, again, I mean, this is another type of creator like Marc Webb, if you even want to call him a creator at this point, and he's very much sounding like Kathleen Kennedy. You know, we all can compare it to that. Like, it's not for the fans, it's not for the viewers, it's all about the creators and their vision of what's really important. And look, I get it on one end of the spectrum, where, sure, they have to focus on themselves, they have to focus on the writing and the script and how they're gonna direct this thing and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you gotta remember that you're making these movies for people, for customers, real, you know, flesh and blood individuals going to go ahead into the movie theaters to watch this creation. And yeah, it is for the fans. It is for the general public. It's not all about the creators. That's where people like himself, Kathleen Kennedy, and others get it very wrong. And he's being very direct and honest about, you know, how he had some issues with Rachel Zegler. This connects to what we talked about months ago, about how Marc Webb did have some kind of problems with Rachel on set, on and off, not just creatively, but, you know, other issues among all of that related to number of takes that had to be shot and everything related to Andrew Burnap. We'll talk more about that ongoing development as well in the future. But overall, this is a very interesting take by Marc Webb, and the fact that they are going the extra mile to just sabotage themselves. I mean, it really seems like that. I mean, that's what it comes across like. It's either that, or they are just so full of themselves that they actually believe every word that they're saying. So overall, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments if you guys did enjoy this video, and if you guys would like to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. Thank you so very much, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night